correct. I don't even know why I'm doubting myself, because I know I'm right. Okay, whatever. Let's try this again. Take 2. Is there actually something wrong with fujoshis? Is there actually anything wrong with women who read BL, women who like to watch queer movies about gay men? Is there anything wrong with that? Basic answer is no, not really. It's not hurting anyone. But I think it's an interesting topic of conversation, and it's still so talked about online. If you were to ask someone that's not involved in queer spaces or not chronically online and explain to them what a fujoshi is, I think they'd look at you like you were crazy. Because really, why would there ever be anything wrong with indulging in queer media? That's never been a negative thing, and it shouldn't start being a negative thing now. I don't think we should be pushing women away, straight or not, from normal queer spaces. I think it's a weird thing to do. After years of trying to bring people into our spaces and trying to make queerness normal, why is it being pushed back? Like, why are we reverting back? Why are we trying to cause issues where there shouldn't be any? So I'm going to start with what is a fujoshi, and I literally have my laptop and I have the definition in my notes. I made a fucking document. A fujoshi is a Japanese term for female fans who enjoy any media works or fan works with romantic relationships between men, typically yaoi. Some fans reclaim the term and self-identify as fujoshis, but is traditionally derogatory. And that is a key part of what I'm going to be talking about today, because the term fujoshi has been reclaimed by women who read BL or watch BL. I'm just going to use BL as like a general term, right? It started from a place of misogyny. Like, the word fujoshi translates to rotten woman, and it basically is equal to men thinking that women who read BL are not suitable to be romantic partners or wives. They see these women who read BL, watch BL, engage in queer media as scum of the earth. And it's literally rooted in misogyny. So, like, this idea of, like, shaming women literally started from men. Like, it's... Why would you want to reinforce that again? I think the big issue that's talked about is not really the fact that women are reading it or watching it, but why they're reading or watching it, or who's reading and watching it. Who's actually indulging in this? Because I think there's, like, this made up idea that it's straight women, it's heterosexual women who get off on the idea of two men having sex or being romantically involved. And I think that's honestly harmful to generalize a whole community of women who are honestly just finding comfort in queer spaces as queer women. Because I think you'll find, if you look any deeper than surface level, that women who read BL are queer. Yes, of course there are straight women in the community, and I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if there is going to be something wrong, it's not the queer women in the community. Because why would you ever push a queer woman out of a queer community? Doesn't make any sense to me. There's this argument about women fetishizing gay men. And I think there's so much stigma around that. Number one, because of misogyny, and because gay men, being gay or not, is not relevant. They are men who are misogynistic and don't want women in their spaces. And it's not from a place of self-defense. It's not from a place of trying to avoid homophobia. It's literally just misogyny. And I don't think I even need to deep dive that. I think you can just completely see where I'm coming from. Of course, that's going to be a factor. Men don't want women in their spaces because they don't like women, and they'd rather just get on with their business without women there. And honestly, it's not effective or useful to act that way. It's just a waste of everybody's time. It's interesting looking at women fetishizing men versus men fetishizing women. Because I think the reason why there's been this talk of women getting off on it or women fetishizing it is because the counter argument to this is always, okay, well, you read BL, but you wouldn't like it if men watched lesbian or if men read girl love. Now, number one, I don't think there's anything wrong with men reading girl love. And I've actually never seen a man get hate for reading girl love or watching a lesbian movie, whether they were a straight man or a queer man. I've never seen a man get backlash for that. So the only thing that can make me think, oh, you know, women are getting backlash for the same thing. Oh, it's misogyny. Of course it is. I think it's a very interesting topic to talk about men fetishizing women and about that whole idea of lesbian and that kind of thing, because lesbians being fetishized is so harmful. Not only is, like, men do not watch this content to be in queer spaces and find comfort in queer spaces like women do with BL, but they do it simply to objectify women. And the fact that they're even watching in the first place is self-explanatory. Like, yes, this is a root cause of so many issues for women, of why men view women as objects, as less than. You know, so much of the internet is made up of and this industry, and it's like, this is so harmful to women. We live in a patriarchal society where women are seen as less than. Why the fuck would we be okay with men watching lesbian porn? And then not only that, but the made is not even actually queer. The women are not actually queer in it. It's made for men. It's literally just objectifying women. Whereas BL, on the other hand, is just made for queer spaces. It's literally made by gay people for gay people. It's just like, here is some gay sex and some gay romance. The idea of like fetishizing is just like, are you for real? Like, this is your biggest concern, is men being fetishized in the big year of 2025? Because there's no part of this where women are reading it and then going outside and seeing a gay man and being like, can you guys kiss? But you know who does go outside and go, oh, can you guys kiss? Men who watch lesbian. Yeah. So we all know where the real issue lies here. It is not in the fetishization of men. It's in the fetishization of women. And that is so clear. We do not need to worry about if gay men are getting their feelings hurt. Sorry. You know, I actually need to chill because I'm going to get my ass doxxed. And I've been doxxed before. We don't need to go back. Like, that is where the real issue lies. And we know that. We know it. We've seen it throughout history with men directing lesbian movies. What do you mean the biggest lesbian movies are written by straight men? The sexualization of women is such an important issue. And the idea that that is comparable to women reading gay love stories, let's be dead ass, please. Because I like, misogyny kills women. It kills women. And all you're dealing with as a gay man is a woman who likes to read about gay men. If this woman was not making it clear that she reads BL, you would not be affected by it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if she was not going around going, oh my god, look, I read this really cute manga, or oh my god, look, this new AO3 fic came out, you would not be aware that she was a fujoshi. You would not be aware she was in that space. And that is enough to know that it's not a big issue at all. No woman is coming up to you and going, oh my god, it's a gay man. Oh my god. No one's doing that. They're just minding their business, getting on with their day and reading their romance because that's what they like to do. Now, another thing I want to talk about as well is I think it's interesting that gay men don't want women in their space when gay men have been in women's space. Pause on that for a second, because this might be a little bit controversial, I want to say, because I think it dates back. Because if we think about it, think about how many gay men you knew growing up, or boys you knew growing up, where they would flock to female friendship groups in school, or their whole entire life they made female friends. You know, they were invited into female spaces. And I think it's very, very good that that's happening. I'm not trying to put that off as a negative thing at all. I don't think it's a negative thing. But I think it's so lovely to see that these women have invited gay men into their spaces because they are aware these men are not safe within a heterosexual male friend group. But I think it's then weird that then when that is flipped and like girls are gonna, they're gonna read BL, like, you're mad. Like, why are you mad? They're not harming you. In fact, they're appreciating queer media. They're appreciating it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. It's so often misconstrued and kind of made to be this insane thing, like as if women are like fiending over like the idea of two men having sex. Like, it's never happening like that. And of course there's like the one-off where there is maybe one girl that's really into it, but then we go to the issue of generalizing a group of women, and that in itself is misogyny. You can never generalize a whole group of people. That is dangerous. I know it sounds dramatic because it's like, oh, it's just fujoshis, it's just women who read BL. Like, what do you mean generalizing? But it's like, it is dangerous to generalize a group of women in any case. It's such an unnecessary argument to make, and it's sad to see that this is the thing that like people are worrying about within the queer community, is girls reading BL. Like, there's so many bigger issues, and yet the one you choose to freak out over is yaoi. Now I'm going to talk about what actually makes women enjoy yaoi, because I think that, like I said earlier, there's a misconception that it's all about the sexual fantasy, and I don't think it's about that. So I'm going to talk about two main points, which number one is obviously queer spaces, finding comfort in queer spaces, but also the idea of vulnerable men. And I'm going to cover the idea of vulnerable men first. The idea of when two men are in a relationship, there's this kind of mutual understanding and therefore mutual vulnerability. And I think it's very, very, very important to learn about and see. Because if you look at fictional heterosexual relationships and very popular works, the men are often abusive, toxic, mistreating the women. The women are like treated like shit, or they're treated like a little princess that like can't do anything. She's like weak and vulnerable and she needs to be saved, and but also means you can break her and manipulate her and she's so tiny. It's like boring, and also so damaging to readers. In these types of novels, the men are really portrayed as very stoic and masculine and over the top abusive. Like, so many of the tropes are stalking, kidnapping, abuse, fucking non-con. Like, are you kidding? Whereas when you look at lots of popular male ships, the men are buying each other flowers. They're going on silly little dates. It's very nice. It's a positive thing to read. It's nice to see that men can be vulnerable, especially when you grow up in a world where men aren't seen that way, and it's scary. It's scary to see men who are afraid to be emotional. They always put up a masculine front, won't let their guard down. It is scary, and these types of men lead to mistreatment of women in real life. So it's nice to go online, read something, or not even go online, like read a book even, or a manga, and see like, oh my god, men can be sweet and nice. Oh, this is nice to see. I think that's another thing also, is that so much mainstream media about gay relationships are negative. They are very like, oh my god, look at the way homophobia affects people. Look at the suicide rate. Look at how this couple can't end up together because of societal norms, and etc, etc. So it is nice, once again, to go online and read a BL or a GL and see, oh my god, you know what, they can be like normal relationships. We can just experience normal things. And that was one thing that drew me to it, was just the idea of like men that you can feel safety around. I feel like, I know that kind of sounds insane because they're like fictional men, but I don't know how to explain it. It's like, you feel like, oh, like this is a nice group of like guys, like this is a nice couple and they're chill, and it's just like, it's sweet. It's just sweet. It's just an enjoyable thing to read. I think there is also the idea of, there are lots of toxic things that go on where they kind of put almost a heteronormative dynamic onto a queer ship, where there's like a really tall, masculine, big guy and then a tiny little feminine boy who's like all cutesy. And it's like, oh, this is where... Because you know what? There are relationships like that in real life. Okay, so that's number one. But number two, sometimes it can get weird because it will become toxic and abusive. But I don't think the women that read those are into the idea of necessarily the BL being abusive as much as the abusive side. And that is a whole different argument that I'm not going to get into right now. The women like toxicity in both heterosexual relationships and homosexual relationships. I don't think it has very much connection to do with the BL. And once again, these types of women are being generalized. You're making them the front runners for fujoshis, where mostly fujoshis are queer women who just want to engage in homosexual material and they just want to mind their business and find comfort in those spaces. And that is basically my conclusion. My conclusion is stay out of women's business. Be grateful that women are writing the media that you love, because once again, if there were no lesbians, who the fuck would write your AO3 fanfiction? That's all I want to say. To be honest, we should just end on that note. Be grateful that women want to engage in these spaces, that they want to appreciate it. They're not trying to take it away from you. They're not trying to make it into something that it's not. They're truly just appreciating it for what it is and minding their business. And there is nothing wrong with that. Okay? So, next time you feel like shaming women for no reason, remember that the term fujoshi literally means rotten woman, and it is based in misogyny, before you start attacking women online for no fucking reason. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm very happy I refilmed this. It's taken me like a third of the time the other one took. Hopefully I will have something else coming out soon, because the Oscars were last night and I have some fucking shit to say about that. Okay, bye-bye.